was going to be here 15 minutes.
I'd like to call to order the February 18, 2014 meeting of the Buncombe County Board of Commissioners. And as always, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and if you will join me in prayer. God, thank you for the wonderful men and women who enter our lives and make us better people and leave a better community than the one they found. We particularly hold up Laurie Masterson as a gift to Buncombe County. Laurie is a happy, optimistic lady who passed away this morning. She fought and held cancer at bay for years, inspiring us to live life to the fullest. She truly lived up to her motto of don't postpone joy. She clearly did not. We will miss Laurie. We also hold up for honor the men and women who help our community continue to run during bad weather and during bad conditions. These leaders actually leave their homes to scrape the ice, shovel, handle emergencies, fight crime, do things that nobody else wants to do, while the rest of us rush home to the warmth and the benefit of our belongings. Bless these individuals who are often taken for granted and noticed only when a sidewalk or street is not scraped, when we want it scraped. Thank you for all the county, city, state, and federal employees and educators who serve us every day, doing the hard work and trying to make our community a better place to live. Amen.
Amen.
Laurie Masterson funeral will be Saturday, March 22nd at 2 p.m. at First Baptist Church. We would like anyone who has an interest to attend. She was a friend of this commission, friend of the community, and really wonderful inspiration to everybody who knew her. She was one of a kind. In accordance with our Code of Ethics adopted by the Commission, it's the duty of every commissioner to avoid conflicts of interest and apparent conflicts of interest. Does any commissioner know of any known or possible conflict of interest with respect to any matter coming before the board today? If not, we'll proceed to public comment. We do not have, we always welcome any public comment. We will not be taking up any matter concerning the Coggins farm property or any question. We don't have anything on the agenda about chaining. We won't be taking any action today on that. We will not also be taking up the Moogfest request for that was taken off the agenda in a pre-session meeting. So you're welcome. We always welcome to hear from anybody on anything, but that's what's on our agenda today, or that's what's not on our agenda today. The time limit for any public comment is 3 minutes. If your time expires, you can leave any question along with your name, address, phone, and email with the county manager. Commissioners are not expected to comment on any matters during public comment. Comments should be limited to subjects upon which are within our jurisdiction or pertain to matters upon which we can act on. Any individual speaking during public comment should address the entire board. Any polling of board members or individual conversations are inappropriate. Persons addressing the commission are expected to observe the decorum of the chamber. and to be respectful of everyone in the room. Any person who willfully interrupts, disrupts, disturbs the session will be asked to leave the meeting. And the Commission deserves the right to deny public address on any subject previously presented to the Board. Any member of the public wish to be heard this morning, or this afternoon? Yes, sir. Anybody after this gentleman? Okay, we'll just go down the row. How about that first row then? Thank you. If you'll give your name and where you live, please, sir.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gant and Commissioners. I am Patrick Irwin, and I reside in District 2 of Buncombe County. I'm coming before you today as a citizen and as president of Chain Free Asheville. Every week across the country, jurisdictions are banning the chaining of dogs. The time is now for Buncombe County to do the same. The chaining of dogs is a safety hazard to the community and an inhumane practice. The current ordinance permits chaining and is very confusing for citizens to understand and difficult for animal control officers to enforce. Chain Free Asheville is asking the Board to enact an ordinance to ban the tethering of dogs. We are recommending a transition period of at least 12 months before any penalties or fines are issued. Chain Free Asheville is committed to building fences for eligible residents during that time. We are fortunate to have the financial resources and volunteer fence builders to accomplish our mission. Our proposal has several advantages to Buncombe County. One, it will improve the community's safety from dog bites and attacks. Two, it will be easier to enforce in that animal control officers will no longer have to verify that the dog has been socialized and exercised daily, as well as investigate if the chain itself meets requirements. Three, it will over time reduce the number of complaints about chaining. And finally, it will improve the welfare of the chained dog. For those of you not familiar with Chain Free Asheville, we are a local nonprofit organization funded by my late wife, Peggy Irwin, in 2008. We educate people about chaining via our website, brochures, and information tabling at public events. We enthusiastically build fences for the dogs of low income, disabled, elderly, or for any other individuals with significant barriers or challenges. In 2009, the City of Asheville enacted their current ordinance to ban all tethering. We led the efforts to create the ordinance and backed up our promise to help many Asheville citizens by building over 75 fences for over 75 dogs. Since 2012, Chain Free Asheville has focused on our campaign, Unchained Buncombe. We are not just proposing a change in the law. We want to be part of the process to achieve a safer community and enhance the Buncombe County's reputation as being an exceptional animal-friendly community. Thank you for allowing me to present the Chain Free Asheville proposal. Now is the time for Buncombe County to enact an ordinance banning the tethering of dogs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Irwin. Yes, ma'am. And then next on the row.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gant and Commissioners. My name is Linda Palmer, and I reside in District 1 of Buncombe County. I'm here to support the proposal to adopt a ban on the tethering of dogs. I've been a supporter and fence build volunteer with Chain Free Asheville since its beginning, and obviously I have strong feelings on the subject. However, I want to cite the warnings and studies of 4 well-known resources in animal behavior today. The United States Department of Agriculture states that in their Federal Register, we conclude that continuous confinement of dogs by a tether is inhumane. A tether significantly restricts a dog's movement, can become tangled around or hooked on the dog's shelter structure, and potentially cause injury. The American Veterinary Medical Association urges dog owners to never tether or chain your dog because this can contribute to aggressive behavior. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention report that a chained dog is 2.8 times more likely to bite than an unchained dog. I want to repeat that, 2.8 times more likely to bite than an unchained dog. The Journal of the American Veterinary Medical Association reported that 17% of the dogs involved in fatal attacks on humans during a 10-year period were chained on their owner's property at the time of the attack. I also want to address the use of trolleys or pulley runs as an alternative to chaining. Attaching a dog's leash to a long line, such as a clothesline or a manufactured device known as a pulley run or trolley, does not solve the problems associated with tethering, and experts recommend that they be banned also. A dog on a trolley is still unprotected from other animals or people who want to harm him, unlike a fence that puts up a barrier. A dog on a trolley can still get tangled up or even choked to death. A dog on a trolley, like a chained dog, has very limited space and will be aggressive to protect it because it can't run or retreat. Finally, some owners use pens to contain their dogs. Chain-Free Asheville is not in favor of leaving dogs in a small pen or a small dog run. If a pen is the only viable method for the owner to use, Chain-Free Asheville would like to see a minimum requirement of 300 feet for each dog as part of the new ordinance. Thank you for your time, and I urge you to adopt the Chain-Free Asheville proposal.
Thank you, Ms. Palmer. Yes, ma'am. Either turquoise or Carolina blue. Carolina blue first, I guess.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gant and Commissioners. My name is Sharon Wood. I reside in District 3 of Buncombe County, and I am here to support the proposal to adopt a ban on the tethering of dogs. There are two major concerns if an anti-tethering ordinance is passed. One concern is that if dogs are released from their chains, they will run through the community. Another is that the number of dogs surrendered at the county shelter will go up significantly. Asheville Humane Society has confirmed that there was no significant increase in the number of dogs surrendered after the City of Asheville passed and enforced their new ordinance that bans chaining. In a published study by Ambu Rosen in 2008, of the 10 communities surveyed, only one community out of the 10 had more reports of dogs running loose after the law passed. Only 2 communities out of the 10 said the number of dogs surrendered increased for a period of time, but then it leveled off. We are asking the board to take the necessary steps to adopt an ordinance to ban the tethering of dogs so that the county will experience the following benefits. One, the reduction in the risk of dog bites and dog attacks. 2, a reduction in the number of citizen complaints about chained dogs. And 3, over time, a reduction in the amount of time animal control officers spend on dog chaining issues. Included in our proposal is a reasonable time frame for transition combined with a public educational campaign. All of us are proud that Buncombe County has a nationally recognized reputation as a caring and humane community. We have an exceptional animal shelter, a beautiful adoption center, and a well-trained animal control unit. These will only be further enhanced by an anti-tethering ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gant and Commissioners. I'm Marilyn Walker, and I reside in District 2 of Buncombe County. I would like to read off a list of communities that have already enacted a ban on tethering of dogs. Asheville, Cary, Durham, New Hanover, Roanoke Rapids, Gwinnett County, Chatham County, Statham, Blakely, Cobb County, Florida, Miami, Okaloosa, Pasco County, Lake County, Texas, Austin, Fort Worth, Big Spring, Arlington, Georgetown, Irving, Live Oak, Electra, also Louisiana, Carthage, Missouri, Maymelle, Arkansas, New Richmond, Ohio. And on a side note, there are hundreds of other jurisdictions outside North Carolina that have already passed a banning law, including several states. Before I begin, Bill McKelvey, the president and founder of Humane Alliance, wanted to go on record that he is in support of the proposal. I have lived in Buncombe County my entire life, and even as a small child, I knew it was wrong for dogs to be chained on a small piece of dirt in solitary confinement 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. During the harsh mountain winters, I knew it was wrong for dogs to be chained to a cold barrel with no bedding, frozen water bowls, and often tangled for hours at a time, and even standing in their own feces. I knew it was wrong during the hot summer months for dogs to suffer from extreme heat while chained and unable to reach any shade and be tormented by fleas and mites and occasionally even humans. I would often hear them barking incessantly for relief or maybe just a little attention, only to be ignored or told to shut up. Even as a small child, I believed forcing dogs to exist on the end of a chain was wrong, and today I still believe it's wrong. My dream as a child was to one day find a way to get these dogs off chains and end their suffering. As fate would have it, I have now spent over 3 decades working with animal organizations in Buncombe County to achieve this dream. I became involved with the Buncombe County Friends for Animals, now the Asheville Humane Society, back in the mid-'80s and served 2 terms on the board of directors. I also founded the Buncombe County Anti-Cruelty Walk, which ran for 15 years, with hopes of spreading awareness and shining the light on animal cruelty in our county. In 2012, the late Peggy Irwin, founder of Chain Free Asheville, gave me the opportunity to get involved with helping free these dogs, which in my opinion is the epitome of animal cruelty. Thank you for your time, and I urge you to adopt the chain-free proposal.
Thank you, Ms. Walker, and we appreciate your leadership. We wouldn't have that shelter if you and your group had not pushed this for decades, and we really appreciate that. Certainly enjoyed the animal walk with you many times, so it's good to see you again. Thank you, Marilyn. Any other public comment? Yes, ma'am, in the back, and then in the back row there, you'll be after her, okay?
Hi, I'm Julie Ferdina, and I'm one of the board members of the Coburn Science Center, and I just wanted to thank the county for their continued support of our outstanding museum, and also just to talk about some of the important contributions the museum makes to our whole community. According to the Grassroots Science Museum Collaborative, there are only 21% of our populations who have STEM cell skills, which are the science, technical, engineering, and mathematics education skills. In our own community, 62% of jobs require these skills. With the situation with our state education and everything else, I feel personally as a mother, we have to have some sort of supplementary options for children in our area, and I think the Coburn has done an outstanding job of meeting those needs. I think if you go over there on any day of the week, there's a constant train of students coming through, learning all kinds of wonderful things, and it has been done remarkably. I just joined the board recently, and I find it hard to believe the things they're able to do with as little as they have, and which sort of segues me into the next thing, which is recently there's been some talk of direct leases with the city, or I'm sure you're aware, bit of a hot button item, but we wanted to make sure it was very clear this was not something that the Coburn sought out. We are concerned that in that situation we may have some difficult economic challenges that we might not be able to meet, and wanted to appreciate what the county has done for us thus far and ask for your continued support of us and Pack Place and the entities within, and I think it's so important, especially in this time in our society in general, that we have arts and sciences and that kind of thing available to the community and that we support it. I think the Coburn is our only science museum here in Asheville, and if I'm past my 3 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm a bit of a talker, so.
You're good. You're still good.
I think I'm okay. But anyhow, one other thing I wanted to mention is just to consider supporting the PAC Place itself as an entity, overseeing the 3 entities within it. And I think that's my time. So I'll say thank you. Sorry.
Julie. Yes, sir. Any other public comment tonight? Have you next. What's her last name? I didn't get it.
Chairman Gant and members of the County Commissioners. My name is Roy Harrison. I'm a 31-year resident of Buncombe County in Asheville. About this time, 31 years ago, I climbed a mountain on the south end of the county to decide whether or not I would raise my family here, having a new bride. As I climbed that mountain and came to the center of town and to Asheville and took a look around, I decided that I wanted to raise my family in North Carolina. Having been born and raised in North Carolina, I just didn't decide that it would be this far west, but I'm here. Now things have changed. As I finished my working career and decided to retire from a manufacturing plant after 42 years, I'm now taking another look at Buncombe County. And as I take another look at Buncombe County, I am now not looking at it as such as a place to raise a family, but I'm now looking at Buncombe County as a place that I could stay and that I could have my grandkids to come to. I fell out of love with my little red truck, so for the last 6 months, I've been walking. And I'm impressed with some of the things that I see in the county. As I venture further and further away from the center of Asheville, I start to see things in a whole different light as I start to look at them. Sidewalks, dogs on leashes, all kinds of things that it was talking about tonight. And as I sort of go that way, I'm like, okay, how do I now take another look at Buncombe County in the city of Asheville as to whether or not I will stay here? And a lot of it depends on some of the decisions that you make here, some of the decisions that they make over at City Hall, because we look at it somewhat I look at it somewhat in a different light now. I'm very proud of what I've seen so far. I'm very proud of my 31 years here in the county. I'm very proud of the service that I've seen some of you as you serve on the commissions, city council, and other things that may happen in this city. I think I might stay here with your help to help this county become a better place, not only for me as a retiree, but as I got off the bus today, it was loaded with high school students, people that were looking for cars, people that needed transportation. So all I'm saying is look out for not only all of us, but especially look out for the poor people in this town and in this county. They need your help. They need all of our help. Thank you very much for this time that you allowed me to make these comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. It's good to see you again. We appreciate your contributions. Yes, ma'am. Any other public comment tonight? Yes, sir, in the back. Green shirt.
Chairman Gant, Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. I am Jennifer Brailer, the interim president of Asheville Humane Society, and I'm also a Buncombe County resident. I am here to express Asheville Humane Society's support for the proposed ban of unattended chaining in Buncombe County. Our support is based on improving the health and well-being of both the animals and citizens of Buncombe County. We believe this proposed change is an important step towards making Buncombe County a more humane community for everyone. Asheville Humane Society has been impressed with the efforts and success of both Chain Free Asheville and Asheville City Animal Services to unchain dogs within city limits in recent years. We feel Chain Free Asheville's commitment to the animals and to the people of our community is to be applauded. We are pleased that they have been and continue to be sensitive to the needs of our community, and yet realistic about the challenges we all face with unchaining dogs in the county. Asheville Humane Society has seen Chain Free Asheville bring forth a similar attitude and enthusiasm to their efforts to unchain dogs in Buncombe County already in recent years. We believe the success of the proposal to unchain dogs will happen through the collaboration with Chain Free Asheville, Buncombe County Animal Services, Asheville Humane Society, and others in our community to provide continued and strengthened education, resources, and support to our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Wonderful work at Asheville Humane. Yes, sir, in the back. Any other public comment tonight?
My name is Charles Weichel. I live on Old Farm School Road, and I know that's not on your agenda tonight. I'd like to make an observation or two because I've just started through this process. First experience I had really was with the planning board. And I don't know about you folks on the county commissioners, but I've never seen many politicians agree unanimously on anything. And I was surprised the way the board conducted itself. It was not conducive to the reaction of the community, very frankly. They listened to what the community had to say, and as it was nearing the end of comments, a young man beside the chairman was trying to make a motion to change the zoning. And the chairman said, no, not yet, not yet. That indicates that those folks had already predetermined the outcome of that meeting. And I must tell you, I think you're beginning to see there's more to that situation than meets the eye, and it certainly should not be unanimous on a planning board. I'll have much more to say about this at a later date at an appropriate time. I'm gaining a lot of experience very quickly, and some of it is very confusing, and some of it is not. So I will be back to see you folks later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Weichel. Any other public comment tonight?
Mr. Chairman, can I?
Yes, ma'am. Vice Chair.
I thank all the folks here speaking in public comment, and particularly the people that are concerned about animal welfare. I've spent my life, probably about, a long time, taking care of animals and looking out for their welfare, worked with community groups, and so I applaud you. And is it possible, Wanda, to have perhaps staff, the Sheriff's Department, collaborate perhaps with the Buncombe County Animal Coalition to see where we can go with this, what the sheriff feels about this?
We'd be happy to bring him in the conversation and work through that. Thank you.
Good suggestion. Thank you. Okay, is there a motion to follow the agenda with the exception of the pulling of the Moogfest funding?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. There's been a motion by Vice Chair Frost, a second by Commissioner King to follow the agenda with the subtraction of the Moogfest proposal funding. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0. Proclamations. Mayor and Emergency Service Director of Jerry V. Hahn. If you could call you up with Chief Burnett and Chief Justice to talk about an honor for these gentlemen and an honor for our community.
Thank you, Chairman Gatt. Commissioners, Saturday night a week ago we had an event in Concord, North Carolina, and they had an honor bestowed on Buncombe County, which, as I understand it, is the first time ever that we have had two gentlemen from the same county honored. They're both members of the North Carolina Fire Chiefs Association, and each year they award a Career Chief of the Year, have a presentation and an award, and a Volunteer Chief of the Year award. And this year, both of them came to Buncombe County. And I believe We have some presentations. I believe Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Newman, Commissioner King may be going to handle this. But if you all want to proceed, and all I can say is it doesn't get any better than this.
Well, we certainly knew we had champions, and go ahead and introduce. I'll start with Commissioner Newman. Go ahead and I think we have something for Chief Burnett. We're mighty proud of you, Scott.
Before I read this, I'd like to just say I got to know Chief Burnett a little bit during the time I was had the privilege of serving on the Asheville City Council when Scott became chief with the city, and we're fortunate to have so many terrific public servants in this community. But getting to know Scott and seeing the work he did and all of the people on his team, these are some of the really great ones, and we're really lucky. And it really makes a difference in the safety of families. And when we have these emergencies, it makes a real difference in people's lives. So we're really fortunate, and I appreciate the chance to present this. Buncombe County Commissioners recognize and honor Scott T. Burnett on behalf of the citizens of Buncombe County. This board expresses its sincere appreciation to you on the occasion of your award of Career Fire Chief of the Year by the North Carolina Association of Fire Chiefs. We commend you for an outstanding career of service to our community and to our citizens. Your dedication to the safety and well-being of our community has made this a better place to live. The Buncombe County Commissioner, signed by all the commissioners.
Chief, while Vice Chair Frost is coming up, I want to say a few words.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's you, King.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Certainly quite an honor that we had the other night. Buncombe County certainly was well represented, and we had many from our fellow departments in Buncombe County that came down. Our Emergency Services Director, Mr. Vihan, came down. It was really a special night, and tonight continues that with your honors tonight, and certainly this is not about an individual. This is about our county and the emergency services in our county, and the support that our county commissioners, our county manager's office, our Emergency Services Director provides day in and day out. The training center is one example of so many of the support that y'all give to us every single day. So thank you for making Buncombe County shine. Thanks.
Mr. King?
You're here tonight to be honored by us, but I actually feel like we're the ones being honored to be able to honor you. I mean, we cannot say enough about the service that you provide to this community and all that you do. Even though I believe one is considered a volunteer chief, there's nothing. They're volunteer, but there's nothing part-time about what these ladies and gentlemen do, because I know in Candler, where I live, they are constantly responding to some kind of a call, and always very proud to see them rolling out, and also feeling quite safe knowing they are there. So thank you so much for that service. But Chief Justice, Buncombe County Commissioners recognizes and honors Jeff G. Justice on behalf of the citizens of Buncombe County. This board expresses its sincere appreciation to you on the occasion of your award of Volunteer Fire Chief of the Year by the NC Association of Fire Chiefs. We commend you on an outstanding career of service to Buncombe County and our citizens. Your dedication to the safety and well-being of our community has made this a better place to live, and I'd like to echo that. It certainly is a better place to live by your service. Thank you.
I've had a head cold. I hope you can hear me. I'd like to just reiterate what Scott said. It's very humbling to get this award. The many thanks that I've got from it. I can tell you that there's 20 other volunteer fire chiefs in Buncombe County that could have got the same award. I feel grateful to have it. I would like to say that I think the county commissioners over many years have supported the volunteer fire departments and the paid fire departments alike through Buncombe County. John Creighton has spent the last 4 years of his life building us a state-of-the-art training facility, and I think you're seeing the rewards from that. That Buncombe County has moved to the front, and we're leading now. So I do appreciate everything and all the support that you've done for us. So thanks a lot.
Chairman Gant, just a brief comment, if I could, regarding Jeff. And recently we had a massive explosion in the Inca area, District 3. And when I went to the general area of where that explosion was, and we did not know what it was, a call that I got, I received it from Jeff Justice. Contacted myself, David King, Commissioner King, to let us know and keep us posted on what was going on in our community that we love dearly. And it was a very, very scary time. And to see these from all these areas, from Asheville City, from the county, from Western North Carolina, come together, but to receive that communication from you was just very much appreciated from me and very much appreciated from the people that we were forwarding it to in that area. And the last call that I got from Jeff, I can't remember if it was a call or a text, probably was a call, was that there was no transports. And to see that fire and to see what had happened, I just applaud the training, as it's already been said, and applaud the job that y'all did, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Keep up the good work. We'll support you. Thank you. All right, next we have public hearings. We have 4 public hearings tonight. The first 2 will be led by Josh O'Connor. The first one is the zoning text amendment to the dimensional requirements of our zoning package. Josh will explain the amendment, and then we'll ask us to consider passing the amendment after we have a public hearing on it. Thank you.
Okay, so I just have one PowerPoint for you tonight because both these amendments are very tightly related. Thank you for having me here tonight. The set of amendments involve some of our most frequently requested variances to the zoning ordinance, so I'm happy to bring it before you because I feel like this is an adjustment that people really need to see. Essentially what we're seeking with this set of amendments is to create new opportunities for infill development in areas where infrastructure is already available. We are also seeking to provide property owners with more flexibility in house design and the use of their lot size, or the use of more of their lot size. The amendment links both setbacks and lot sizes to the availability of public sewer, which tends to be one of our biggest constraints dictating lot size. Ultimately, we believe that proposed changes can work to decrease development costs by allowing residents to do more with less, and this can help increase opportunities for affordable and workforce housing. I did want to point out that the proposal does not afford any new opportunities for large-scale development, in that those developments under the existing plan unit development concept can already ask for these reductions by default. An example of that might be a 20 to 30 lot subdivision that asks for this as they're going through the Board of Adjustment process. What this does help is individual small-scale landowners that are looking to either utilize or split off new lots in infill areas. Like much of what I brought before you over the last couple of months, this proposal originated directly from the Comprehensive Land Use Plan update, which you adopted in the fall of 2013. The land use plan found that setbacks and lot sizes are factors that we continue to see tied to the high cost of development. There's a direct connection between requiring more land and the cost of constructing a home. We also found that smaller setbacks pose issues on building on existing infill lots, or excuse me, that our current setbacks impose those issues. And a lot of those infill lots that we see were designed for smaller homes than are being built today. Through the variance process, as I mentioned, we've received a number of requests for reductions in both setbacks and lot sizes. A number of these have stemmed from financing issues where banks are more reluctant to finance multiple homes on one lot. So they may already have 2 homes on an existing lot, and now they need to split those homes apart, and that's something they're not able to do readily under the current ordinance. Allowing for reductions in our infrastructure area where density can be supported allows landowners more flexibility in using their land and reduces complications during refinancing and sales. Under our current system of lot sizes, we don't promote the use of infrastructure or recognize the fact that septic systems require more residential land area. Lot sizes are currently connected to the availability of public water, which does not create a need for much additional land. In looking around the state and at trends across the country, we found that our lot sizes tended to be more stringent than other areas with similar infrastructure availability, and that our setbacks were not necessarily in alignment with what we were seeing across the state. So the recommendation, which is reflected in the packet that you have before you, is that setbacks should be adjusted to allow for greater flexibility in areas with access to urban infrastructure. And you have 2 amendments before you tonight. The first one for consideration I'll just run through briefly. Summary of the proposal which you have is that it makes changes to setbacks and lot sizes which reflect trends that we're seeing in home construction. People are leaning toward smaller homes on smaller lots to reduce the amount of maintenance required. They also want to conserve their lot area for larger backyards. So what you're seeing is we're allowing people to come closer to the front yard to allow them to have a larger, more private area in the backyard. One element to point out is the fact that under the current ordinance, reductions in setbacks for lot sizes, again, I already said this, but they're allowed for larger scale development through the plan unit development process, but there's no similar mechanism for individual lots. Right now, if you want a reduction, you have to come in for a variance, which is legally a very difficult thing to do because you have to prove that your lot is somehow unique, and that's why you need that reduction. So this eliminates that requirement. Instead, applicants under this, well, I already went through the variance process. Ultimately, the goal here is to recognize the role that infrastructure plays in supporting density and working to align the dimensional requirements with that existing infrastructure. I'll also point out, just as a matter of reference, that the Conference Center and Resort District that you approved during your last meeting will remain unaffected by this change. What you were presented there will remain the same as it was approved. So with that, I would ask that you approve the First Amendment to change those dimensional requirements.
All right. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Any questions for Mr. O'Connor before we start our public hearings?
Josh, you, Mr. O'Connor, rather, O'Connor, you alluded to that this is one of the ones that you get a lot of calls and requests about, and I'm actually very glad that we're going to be responding to the citizens' needs. How many do you get these a month, these types of requests?
I would say we have a minimum of 1 variance request to the zoning ordinance. They're for a variety of different things, and the number of people that actually bring these forward for variance requests is not necessarily telling, because some people may have a conversation with us and realize that a variance is rather futile.
I see.
I would say in the last year we've had at least 5 that we approved for lot size reductions because they already had a home there and they need to split off their second home. And then about the same number for setback reductions, but the actual number is much greater. A lot of people just realize that it's not the correct process.
I see. Yeah. So the measure is not the right measure is not if they go to the planning board or the Board of Adjustments. The measure is just talking to folks and understanding that this isn't really working in our world right now. So okay, I was just curious about the demand.
And Josh, I think one of the things that's hard to measure is the people that don't come in and ask because they're frustrated with the regulation. So this, by simplifying it and make it easier for them, is going to allow for more people to be able to build on these lots, and I think it's a good thing.
I do have one question, Mr. Chairman. I'm generally supportive of of this reform. The only concern I have, and my question is, the only places where kind of scaling these back gives me some particular pause is in properties where the topography is very steep. So if you're building on lots and there's infrastructure there, I think this kind of approach sounds good. It can be problematic in some situations where you have really steep slopes, and whereas a 10-foot setback on a relatively flat piece of property may seem sufficient when property is really steep and one construction is right above another, when it can feel really, really different. So is there any relationship to these kind of adjustments to setbacks and the regulations we have on steep slope development? And would it make sense to perhaps give this additional flexibility generally, but perhaps be a little more conservative as it relates to properties that are very steep slopes?
If it's in the steep slope high elevation, the steep slope high elevation overlay, by default that requires that the lot size is 1.5 acres. Okay. So this would not supersede that requirement. Great. So there's going to be some protection there. Generally speaking, in understanding where the land use map is, there may still be some steep properties in low-lying areas, but I would say that's the exception rather than the rule. And what we struggle with in those areas is attempting to move the house down closer to the road, so that there's less impervious and disturbed surface in constructing the driveway. So it would help some in those situations as well.
Thanks.
Going down that road a little bit more, I think you've covered this a little bit, the sedimentation laws, the water runoff laws that we've passed, would they cover even the gap between the steep slope where when it kicks in, the overlay, and the flatter land? Would that cover that part of that gap there?
A portion of it, yes. The requirements on off-site sedimentation and stormwater would stand independent of the zoning ordinance, so this change wouldn't reduce those requirements at all.
So do you think there'll be many situations like Commissioner Newman asked about where it kind of falls right through all of those laws that we've tried to enact to avoid marring some of the steep slope law?
I've not seen any situations that I can think of where that might be an issue. Ultimately, the location of the sewer lines is going to dictate it, and our sewer lines tend to be in the lower lying, flatter areas where this is not going to be as much of an issue.
Which is one of the reasons we did steep slope, because they couldn't run them up the mountain. Then you had the fields of the septic fields there that asking for trouble.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions before we do our public comment here? All right, then I'll declare the public comment begins at 5:19. Any members of the public wish to be heard on these zoning text amendments for the dimensional requirements as outlined by Mr. O'Connor? Hearing none, I will declare the public hearing closed at 5:20. Is there a motion to adopt the amendment?
So moved.
Been a motion by Vice Chair Frost. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner King. Any discussion? Commissioner Fryer. Excuse me. Second by Commissioner Fryer. Any discussion? I think we've kind of covered it, but I think one of the things, one of the biggest problems we have, and we've had it since I've been on this commission, is affordable housing.
That's right.
And so I think everybody on this board, we've talked about it, anything we can do to help affordable housing or workforce housing, we really need to do it.
Yes, we do.
And we don't want to ruin our beautiful mountains, but we've got to really knuckle down and help people afford to live here.
That's right.
So I think everyone here has expressed some strong desire to move that way, and I think this is a step that way. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, no. The motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Next, we have a zoning text amendment on the accessory use setbacks. And again, Josh O'Connor will tell us about this.
Okay. All right, so before I start, I'll just explain what we consider an accessory use in a residential context. An accessory structure or accessory use is a garage, a shed, pole barn, carport, something that you would have structurally in addition to your house that's not really a main use. The reason that we're bringing this up tonight is now that we've reduced the setbacks In areas we don't want the accessory use to be required to be set more off the property line than the house. So it's to bring that alignment. We also recognize that accessory uses should be cited according to their size and the impact that they would have on surrounding property owners. So we reduced the setbacks for those buildings which are less than 320 square feet, 16 by 20, that's a common size that you see for these buildings. You can go to Lowe's or Home Depot and purchase one. Setbacks remain unaffected for areas where public sewer is not available. For buildings larger than 320 square feet, we kept the existing setbacks, which is 10 feet. We also made changes to allow the owners of homes which don't conform under today's standards, say they built this pre-zoning, opportunities to site an accessory building as long as it didn't stick out further than the existing house and encroach into those setbacks further. So that's it in a nutshell, and I can entertain any questions that you have at this time.
Okay, any commissioner have any questions before our public hearing on this amendment? If not, I'll go ahead and thank you, Mr. Connor. We'll go ahead and start the public hearing on this amendment at 5:22. Is there any member of the public that wishes to be heard on our zoning text amendment for accessory use setbacks? If not, I'll declare the public hearing closed at 5:23. Is there a motion to adopt the amendment?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Belcher. Any discussion? Call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The amendment is adopted by a 7-0 vote. Thank you. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Next, we have a zoning request. This is the Deweese property. We'll hear from Debbie Trumpy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Timothy Deweese has applied to rezone 32 Wiley Drive, which is tax lot pin 9722817329, from R2 Residential District to EMP Employment District. The property is approximately 5 acres and is located at the end of Wiley Drive, which is located off of Old Marshall Highway. The tract is currently undeveloped. While a portion of the northern boundary of the parcel is adjacent to property zoned EMP, which is owned by a sand and gravel company, the subject property is almost entirely surrounded by property zoned R1 and R2, residential zoning that does not allow commercial or industrial uses. The Planning Department recommends denial of the request, as the proposed rezoning to EMP would not be consistent with the Buncombe County Land Use Plan. The suitability matrix within the 2013 plan update indicates that the property would not be suitable for commercial or industrial development, as the property is not within reasonable proximity to public utilities and is not within reasonable proximity to a transportation corridor, and also contains areas of slope greater than 25%. The Planning Board held a public hearing on this application December the 16th last year. The applicant indicated that he wants to place a manufactured home on the property, and EMP zoning would allow that use. 4 people spoke against the rezoning during public comment. Their main concerns were that EMP would allow uses not suitable for their residential neighborhood, that access is by a single lane gravel drive not suitable for commercial and industrial development, and that it could reduce their property values. The Planning Board found that the proposed rezoning is not consistent with the land use plan. The Planning Board also found that EMP zoning would be detrimental to the community, as it is not consistent with the surrounding residential properties, which do not allow commercial or industrial uses, and found the rezoning would therefore be neither reasonable nor in the public interest. The Planning Board recommended denial of this rezoning in a unanimous vote. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have at this point.
And I'd say the staff also recommended denial.
The staff and the Planning Board recommend denial.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Trumpy before we have our public hearing?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So, if I understand correctly, this is on a gravel road, and it's a residential area for the most part.
Residential most of the way around, about half of the northern boundary does touch EMP district zoning. That's the quarry land that's up above to the north of the property.
And I can you explain the desire on behalf of this person to do a commercial change as opposed to some other?
The applicant stated his desire is to place a manufactured home on the property. The problem is that all the other adjoining zoning districts do not allow manufactured homes. They're zoned R1 and R2.
Okay, but this zoning would allow commercial operations such as in this given area. I mean, I can envision lots of commercial, but
and industrial.
I mean, could this even be a storage area for automobiles, that type of thing?
Warehousing, storage, retail, most commercial.
But I was thinking more, for lack of a better word, junkyard type storage type thing. Is that?
I don't have all the uses, but EMP is a very wide open district. It allows
what I'm trying to understand
lot.
is what kind of, the change, what kind of things would it allow?
It would allow, for one thing, it could allow the quarry to expand into that area. That would be allowed conditionally. A lot of industry, warehousing, commercial.
So it is a mix at the moment, is that correct?
Right now it's zoned R2, which only allows residential uses.
I guess I wasn't clear. I mean, the surrounding, is it predominantly residential or is it?
Yes, it's just that the quarry is north of this.
And mainly residential housing.
And that is zoned EMP.
All right, thank you.
But if you pull up the map and you look at this area is a rural area, right? It's rural in nature.
Mm-hmm.
So what my understanding is what they're trying to do is to place a home there, and it appears that the only way that they can do that is to use this EMP. If you look at the mix that's around there, I mean, you'll see that it's certainly a legitimate request to place a manufactured home in that area. With what is around it, there's mixed housing, even though it is R1, R2, which is one of the problems with not allowing some types of affordable housing in those areas. That it does create some of these things. So it's my understanding that that's what they're trying to do is to place that manufactured home there, and that's they need that zoning to be able to do that. Is that right?
The problem is that EMP would allow so many other uses, and there's nothing that ties him to just putting the manufactured home on the property.
But your understanding is his intent is to put a manufactured home on that property?
That is his intent that he stated.
Okay. Any other questions or comments before we do our public hearing? Okay. Then I'll go ahead. We'll start our public hearing at 5:30. Any members of the public wish to be heard? Yes, sir.
Commissioner, my name's Jeff Clemens, and I live in the little square block right there. His property, he dug out a big old hole over and left it. And I had to get the county to come out there and get him to drain it because the mosquitoes and stuff was eating me up. It's 150 feet from my front door. And I don't care for him building a house. He says he wants to put him a trailer over and build him a house. And I don't care for him building a house. We all built houses over there, but we worked all down our jobs and lived rented and worked at night, and built our houses. Or either hire a contractor and build you a house. About 8 years ago, he come in there and just piled up blocks, old sheetrock, a tractor and trailer load of sheetrock just throwed out, destroyed by the weather and old lumber and everything. And there's a lot of rats and stuff. I got dogs, and they kill a lot of rats over there. I don't care for him building a house, and I hope I want him to. You know, I ain't got nothing against that. But I don't want to have to deal with that bunch of junk in my front door and piled up. He's hauled in that chewed up asphalt. He had probably about 20 dump truck loads of that chewed up asphalt dumped in my front door. And it's still there today. You know, and then you look at my front door, there's 20 dump truck loads. They busted the sewer line to Asheville with them big dump trucks coming up down the road. There ain't no telling what it cost MSD, because there's a main sewer from Weaverville runs across that property. And there ain't no telling what it cost them to. But we had feces all over the property. They just kept running through it. And I finally called MSD in the county, and they got all that cleaned up and stuff. He's just not a good caretaker of his property. And, I mean, you know, I want everybody to have a home and be able to build a home and that, but I don't want a junkyard in my front yard. I don't want a strip bar in my front yard. He could do anything with it if it's commercialized. And that's about it.
Thank you, Mr. Clemens. Any other members of the public wish to be heard tonight? All right, then I'll declare the public hearing closed at 5:33. Is there a motion on this application?
I'd like to make a motion to support the planning board or the county's recommendation to deny.
Okay. Been a motion by Vice Chair Frost to deny the application. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman. Is there any discussion?
I would just make the comment that if you know, if the request was, if we were able to grant it such that it was simply constructing a residential unit, that would probably be a different matter to consider. But to approve a zoning district that's incredibly open-ended and could this property owner or any future property owner could there's very few limits that would be placed on them what could be done on that property. That's something that I can't support.
Okay, any other comments? Or
I have a comment.
Yes, sir, Mr. Fryer.
From listening to what this gentleman has said, which I haven't went and looked, I'm totally, truthfully against zoning, but I'm like Brownie. We've got to try to come up with some kind of something else that where it don't make this open-ended for somebody to go commercial and put a mobile home in, and then if they're putting asphalt in there or sheetrock or anything else, I think people should be good to their neighbors. Don't sound like it. I haven't seen it, but I'll definitely go out and look at it. That'd be a tough one. And from what you're saying, sir, the owner, I thought maybe they would be here to defend what they were doing, but I do not see them. So I'll probably go against this one.
All right, any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm probably going to vote for it only for the reason that the property owner is asking for a request for a residence. So I'll probably vote for it.
Okay, anything else?
For residence.
I have a question. This might be for Josh. The MP is a pretty, or Debbie, either one of you, is a pretty broad list of things that can be done. And open use is even more so. How much of our county is open use, which is even wider than the zoning that Mr. Deweese is requesting? Do y'all know? I know I'm kind of hitting you on the without notice here, but this is something that's bothered me. How much of our county is open use right now?
So a straight answer would be 80%, but then I think you have to hedge that against how much of the county is in overlays. how much is in the watershed area, how much is in other protections. I think when we've reduced that figure down, and this is completely off the top of my head, it drops pretty significantly down to about 60%. And then the further figure would be trying to figure out how much is in conserved areas or areas that are under some kind of state ownership, and that's where we're unclear. But I mean, that's just the off the top of my head answers, and that number is not absolute. I mean, it's changed quite a bit over time.
Okay, and the open use just has a short list of prohibited uses, and that's, you think, still about 60% of our county?
I would say 60%, not factoring in how much is in some type of protection, whether it be state ownership or some of the land conservation programs.
Okay.
May I say something else?
Yes, sir. Sir.
Well, it goes back to the same thing. If we wanted to put a home, and it's a double wide or a modular or whatever, it's understandable, but there needs to be something besides R2 where it has to be a stick built. We as commissioners should be figuring out what we need to do to get staff to come up with something to where we don't open this up to an area that's wide open. You know, if he wants to build a garage, if he wants to build whatever. I mean, I still think he ought to be able to, in the long run. You know, if you don't like it, you should be able to just go and buy it. But the man, if he's doing stuff and he wants to do something, and it's a home, and he wants a place to put a home, then that's what he can afford, and he can't build it. And I have to agree with Joe on that area of it. But we need to back up and look at this one and try to figure out where we're going to go down the road, because going into business and then just being able to put a double, or just wanting to put a double wide on it, that don't really seem to be the right way to go. So, you know, maybe we can get staff to look at this and come up with something that all of us can agree to.
All right. Any other discussion or comments?
I think I'd like to go back to the original issue of whether to approve or not approve this, and I know that zoning is one of those things that it can be very contentious. People question the need, but I think Mr. Plemons made a very valid point, and that he will be affected by this zone change. And we wouldn't need zoning if everyone was respectful of their neighbor and took that in consideration when making changes and doing projects on their property. But sadly, that's not the way things are, so therefore there has to be some type of mitigation and at least standards so that people like Mr. Plemons can live in their homes and on their property unencumbered, and their pursuit of happiness not be taken away as a result of bad planning of someone else. So I will be supporting denial of this change.
All right. Any other discussion or comments? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor of Vice Chair Frost's motion to deny the rezoning request by Mr. Deweese, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
The motion carries 6-1. Belcher against. Thank you. Next, the next rezoning request we have is the Heron property, and again we'll hear from Debbie Trumphy about this.
Thank you. John Heron applied to rezone a portion of 1431 Brevard Road. That's tax lot 9626803208 from R1 residential district to NS Neighborhood Service District. The application is to rezone the portion of the property that is R1, and there's another portion of the property that is currently CS. The part to be rezoned is 5.47 acres, and it's located at the intersection of 4 Road on Brevard Road. The property is currently undeveloped. The northern end of the tract which is currently zoned CS, was in the city's ETJ, and under the city it was zoned CB2. The property is adjacent to the NS Neighborhood Service District on the southeast. Rezoning the property to NS could create a transitional area between the commercial corridor to the north on Brevard Road and the residentially zoned property to the southwest. The Planning Department recommends approval of the request as the proposed rezoning is consistent with the Buncombe County Land Use Plan. The suitability matrix within the 2013 plan update indicates that the property would be suitable for neighborhood-scale commercial uses, as the property is within reasonable proximity to a major transportation corridor, is within reasonable proximity to public utilities, and is located outside high elevations and flood hazard areas. The Planning Board held a public hearing on this application December the 16th. The applicant indicated that NS is an appropriate zoning, as there is public water and sewer, frontage on Brevard Road, and power transmission lines, which makes the property unsuitable for residential development. 2 people spoke against the rezoning during public comment. They were mainly concerned about safety of their neighborhood, water quality, and traffic. The Planning Board found that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the land use plan, that NS zoning is consistent with the surrounding area, and that the property is adjacent to the NS zoning district, and the proposed rezoning would be reasonable and in the public interest. The Planning Board recommended approval of the rezoning to NS in a unanimous vote. I can take any questions now.
Any questions? If not, we'll start the public hearing on the Herron rezoning request at 5:43. Any members of the public wish to be heard on this request?
Chairman, and I'm John Heron, and almost half of that is covered in right-of-way for the Progress Energy in Duke Parnell. And you've zoned it. I wrote a letter and registered the courthouse and asked you all to, when you rezoned it again, there's some problems I would start with. I sent it to the Building Planning, and they still zoned it residential. I bought it in 2006. 2007, they zoned it residential. I bought it to use for commercial. And like I say, in other words, what I'm saying is this. I've tried to sell it. I can't sell it. I can't do anything with it because it's been residential.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Heron. Any other members of the public wish to be heard on Mr. Herron's rezoning request? If not, I'll declare the public hearing closed at 5:44. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommendations of the Planning Board that is in, don't do this often, so that it is in, what's the word I use for the land use plan? That it goes along with our land use plan, but goes along is not the word I'm looking for.
Consistent.
Say it again.
It's in the public interest.
In the public interest, and goes along with our land use plan. So, okay. Consistent. That's the word I was looking for. Consistent.
All right.
It's a long motion, but I think you get the point.
Yes, I do. We go
Thank you
there.
very
Thank
much.
you. Commissioner Belcher, motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Commissioner King. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve the rezoning request say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Heron. Thank you. We do not have a county manager's report. We have pulled the Moogfest funding request. So the final item we have before our closed session is the resolution regarding the use of non-toxic cleaners.
I want to thank county staff for coming up with such a great report. You know, as I listened to the presentation so far tonight, started with animals, then the arts and science, and the land use plan, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this county because switching to non-toxic cleaners is consistent with our sustainability plan. It's just much healthier, and no longer will we see people using cleaning products with a mask over their face. And so I'm very grateful for this, and yes.
Thank you for your leadership in this, Vice Chair Frost. This was your concern, and you have got us to this point. So thank you.
All righty. So I'll take that as a motion to approve the resolution.
That works. Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Jones. Is there any discussion of this resolution to use only non-toxic cleaners in county businesses? Is that?
That's right.
We have no control over outside the county, but we do have control within.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I've read over this, and I'm certainly in agreement with the spirit of it. My concern is that there will be applications where this would not allow for effective cleaning. I certainly feel like that our employees and the county management does try their best to come up with solutions that are in the best safety practices and best for our employees. And another concern I have is our contract people that, for example, that have the cleaning contract for this building. I worry that inadvertently we're going to create an encumbrance that maybe shouldn't be there, but I certainly would support, from county management down to, basically encourage this use wherever, but I don't think I can support this resolution.
All right. Any other comments?
Yes.
Mr. Fryer?
I can't support this resolution because simple fact is I've talked to some business owners, and as being a business owner, we had to go by rules. EPA, I don't I learned about this late. EPP, the standards from somebody else bringing in. Only thing that's basically cleaned here is our bathrooms. They vacuum the floors, and that's pretty well it. They dust. So the health department has rules out there already. We have a health department. Right now we have 2 cases of bacterial meningitis in this county. So, do we want to take some water and see if we can't kill the germs, or do we want to take some bleach to make sure we do kill the germs? Looking at me, right now, I'm a person that has cancer. I've gone in and I've had 30 bags of poison put in my body. I lay down and sleep, and a lot of times if I sleep with my face down, my eyes, I know people understand when you have a cold, you have matting. I don't have matting. My eyes, there's a crystal that comes out and locks my eyes closed. I have to break the crystal. So, me sitting here with y'all, I'm a toxic person. I don't feel like I'm a toxic person, but it takes something strong to kill this bacteria that's in me. And, it is a poison. The ladies have to dress up with glasses, aprons, gloves, just to hook it up to us. And, I've talked to people that own restaurants. They have rules that they have to go by. I've talked to people that own franchises that the rules state that they have to do. We're trying to do something just in this building, which is contracted out to a service. That service, if they have to go buy this stuff, does it cost more? In the contract, do we end up spending more? Right now, our budget's pretty high, and we're all trying to look for a penny to bring stuff back. But that's where we need to be putting our focus, is on something that's more
than, you know, green.
I'd like to address some of those things. Some of the major hospitals throughout the country have become green, and the health effects for staff and patients has increased. The chances of bacteria spreading has diminished, and the cost is cheaper to purchase them, and also recycling is much, much easier because they're not toxic.
Let's just go a little further with this. My wife went in St. Joseph over here and had a little operation. After she had the operation, Mission called her, and then she had to go back and be tested for an infection that she got in the hospital. So, you know, are we going to make things perfect? I don't care about other states. I care about Mission, and you walk in it, and it smells like Clorox. So, you know, it takes Clorox to get stuff off the side of my house, my green stuff off the side of my house. But personally, this is fluff and buff, and we don't need it in the county. It's just, you know, let's let the health department make the decisions on what happens in this county. It's not up to us. We're not health people.
Okay, any other comments?
I would just make one comment, which is that, I mean, my reading of the resolution is that it doesn't tie the hands of the folks who will be, you know, who do this work daily. It expresses that this is a priority. We want it to be considered. You know, when getting the job done, we want the job to be done right and effectively. But we would like to use the most environmentally sound products we can, consistent with getting the jobs done. But I don't think it says, you know, you are mandated to use this, and this. It says this. We want you to consider this in the process of making these decisions. So, if it would not allow the staff and the people we contract with to be effective in their jobs, I wouldn't support this. But I don't think it goes that far. I think it just expresses that we want them to consider this as they're making their decisions.
If they had a complaint in this building or any other building in the county, this might be worth it. I haven't heard any complaints, you know, period, about the sanitation of our restrooms or our offices or our floors. So it goes back to the same thing. This is just something to put forward. It's something that we don't need to be wasting our time on.
All right. Any other comments? One thing I can add to it is I first heard about this concept of the green cleaner stuff probably 10 years ago, and at the time they said it's a great idea, but it costs a whole lot more because nobody's doing it. And they said back then, as people become more aware of it, the demand will drive the price down, and it will be the same. And then the more toxic, the bad things will just kind of go away because you've got safer, greener things because the demand dictates it. That's the way our country works. It's free enterprise. I think if we can suggest that people look at that first, we're pushing the ball the right way. I think no one here wants anybody to be unsafe, and it is kind of a little bit discerning when people have to put masks on to clean things, and that's always been it can't be good, and so I'm going to support this. I think it's probably time to do this, and we've had a lot of time to get the cost down and the demand up. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I think this would be a fairly easy reach in terms of cleaning the buildings. My primary concern doesn't have so much to do with the office buildings as it does our maintenance department, where if they need a degreaser or something like that, unfortunately, in some instances, you have to have the stronger chemicals to get the job done. And I do know in my own experiences, it is economical in many cases to go a non-toxic cleaner in those things. And I'm not even sure the directive needs to be there because in simply handling and disposing, I would say a department head like Greg Israel probably would make that a fairly easy decision on his part. So, I mean, that's my primary concern. So,
I do not read where this would be a problem for if there was particular type of degreaser needed, that couldn't be chosen, because it says clearly here, as well as traditional consideration of price and performance. So I think that it definitely leaves open the range of services that we have, but all else being equal, this is our norm. And frankly, I do believe that the people that don't have a voice, that we do work for contractors, that we're not going to hear complaints because they work for somebody else. I feel responsibility to try to set a bar, and I think it's the right thing to do. We already know that we save money by contracting out, and I think all else being equal, that this is a good choice, and it helps educate our contractors to better choices for probably lower paid people. So if this is adopted, I would also hope that we would have some type of process for talking to our contractors and kind of, educating them and helping them understand the options here. And so, because I do feel like this is just caring about people having a healthier work experience. I don't think it's fluff. I think it's really an important step to care about people.
I'd like to say that I've had some conversations with some folks on what they are doing now, one of the largest employers in the county, and some of the materials that they're using, and was very impressed with what they were doing, and the requirements that they're under now was pretty strict. The neutral pH, some of the things that they're doing, and some of the materials, and were much different and much improved. And I want to applaud the county on what we're doing now, and that it is very good. And I don't have a problem with the spirit of this. I just I'll be voting against it today.
I would just challenge my colleagues, if I think we would be open to friendly amendments if there's ways that, I don't know how you could make this any more, given both of your concerns, then how could we make it palatable?
Okay. Let me ask Dr. Green. Dr. Green, like I said, I think we all agree with the spirit of this, and this, in terms of we want all of our employees, contracted and otherwise, to remain safe. But we also want to make sure there's a flexibility. And I'm thinking, I keep going back to our maintenance department, where we have a lot of mowers, a lot of weed eaters, a lot of things that degreasing at times, and they do a lot of repair on those at our maintenance depot. And I think that's the thing I keep wanting to make sure that we don't tie their hands. I had a conversation with the supervisor over there today and asked about this, and he said they do try to use, when possible, to use as much non-toxic materials as possible, but there are some instances where it doesn't work, and they have to revert back to some harsher chemicals in some cases. So what, for a resolution or amendment, what could we do to make sure is there flexibility, I guess? Maybe that's a question for our attorney also.
Well, I hear you saying there's flexibility, and we would take the reading of the resolution and the reading of the minutes to understand that we have the flexibility to make every effort to use non-toxic, but to use the product that works for the environment that we have, where we have to have maybe something stronger. And there are some, public health guidelines that would require us to be more stringent than that, and we know that we would have to follow those where that was needed and required.
But we don't have the police coming around taking people's bleach away.
No bleach police. All this says is that Buncombe County will incorporate environmental considerations into purchasing decisions using EPA-divided guiding principles. And here are the guiding principles. So that, to me, gives, it sounds very flexible. Attorney, yes.
Ms. Jones.
Can I hear from our attorney real quick, and then we hear from.
Go ahead, Ms. Jones.
I agree that the present wording of the resolution does not really require anything except for the use of these principles in making decisions. But to incorporate some of the comments, I think you might consider adding a one-sentence additional consideration to the effect that nothing herein shall prohibit any the county staff from using any material which he or she deems to be necessary to do any particular job. And I think if you will say that, I suspect that the outside contractors will be way ahead of us on this, because I know the person who does my office only uses this type material, but I think people seem to be concerned with like tying the hands of the county staff, and an amendment like that would just say that's not the intention of this. Is let them use the right material. The other thing I will say is that toxic materials might have some implications for OSHA when you have people working around toxic substances. That could be another liability thing too.
So potentially, this would be an argument for us in court. Should somebody contract with us, that was the contracting employee, say, well, Buncombe County, you're responsible too, because you allowed this to happen, and we could say, well, it might have happened, but we have made it very clear in this ordinance and in our training that this was not a requirement. So is this a true statement?
Yes, if you have a policy that whenever possible you will use an environmentally friendly substance, I think that would be in your favor in any sort of litigation about this. But I kind of sensed that some of the commissioners don't want to tie the hands of the staff or the outside contractors if it's necessary to use something a little bit harsher in an individual situation.
I would like to, Chairman Gant, see if I can make a friendly amendment to this resolution that would incorporate the language of our attorney and to clarify that for my colleagues. Appreciated their input in that.
And could we?
I move that. I make that motion.
And could we add in compliance with state and federal laws so that we meet OSHA requirements?
Absolutely.
Did you get the wording?
By adding that,
Kathy?
we don't need the rules. State, federal, and if we got to follow the rules, why are we doing a resolution? That's what I still, I owned a business. I had OSHA come in on me. I had equipment. I showed them paperwork that the oils and stuff were bio-friendly, but they told me I couldn't put my hands in it. It says it will not hurt your skin. But, I needed to wear gloves. And the machine, I could not wear the gloves. So, it's still fluff and buff. Any way you want to look at it, I'll still be voting no against it.
So I think
procedurally we've got a suggested friendly amendment. As I understand the rules, Ms. Deutsch, that the motion, the movement, and the second needs to agree to the friendly amendment.
Yes.
And so we can vote on that. So what is the position, Vice Chair?
I agree to amend the original motion.
What I heard, Commissioner Jones, I think, is nothing herein shall prohibit county staff from using cleaning or materials necessary. We said to do the job. That's probably not to complete the cleaning. Is that good? Task. In compliance with North Carolina and OSHA laws. Does that I'm kind of capture what you'd say?
I would say applicable laws.
Okay, in compliance with applicable NC and OSHA laws, or just applicable law?
I think just applicable law.
Okay, is that okay?
Yeah, that's great. That
so
sounds great.
Let me just make sure I've got this. So the friendly amendment would be nothing herein shall prohibit county staff from using cleaning or other materials necessary to do the task in compliance with applicable law. Does that satisfy what we've heard here?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a vote. Any other discussion on this amendment? And I'll just call a question on the the amended motion?
I'm still pretty confused, but
Yes.
Okay, I think what we're doing, what we're suggesting here is there's a published resolution and adding, I'm not sure where it would be, I'm not sure where the best place to be, but to add at the appropriate place the language, nothing herein shall prohibit county staff from using cleaning or material or the material necessary to do the task in compliance with applicable law.
I would add it as the last item,
And what number would that be?
the resolution.
The very end.
I think it's 3.
Okay. Okay. All right. Does everybody understand what we have in front of us then?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion of this amended motion?
Still got a little bit of problem with item E on the last page. So, anyhow, but
Collection-based purchasing decisions.
I think you've already got the motion.
Can we call the question?
Okay. Call the question. I will accept that. All those in favor of the amended motion, including the language that I've read earlier, nothing herein shall prohibit county staff from using cleaners or other materials necessary to do the task in compliance with applicable law. All those in favor of that amended motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
The motion carries, I think, 5-2, Fryer and Belcher against. Is that correct?
Was that the amendment?
The amended motion passes. Can we do it all together since it was the formal
The
amendment?
motion with the amendment.
The motion with the amendment is passed 5-2, Belcher and Fryer against. Thank you. Next, announcements. Applications are currently being taken for the African American Heritage Council Commission, 3 vacancies. The deadline for filing for this board is February 28th. There are 3 vacancies on the audit committee. The applicants must be in the accounting profession, banking community, or the business community in general. So there are some qualifications for the audit committee. That deadline is February 28th. Finally, we have 3 vacancies on the Board of Adjustment. That deadline for those applications will be March the 4th. The next regular meeting of the commission will be March 4th, beginning at 4:30 in room 326 at 200 College Street in downtown Asheville. The board has rescheduled our retreat for March 11 at 2 o'clock in the first floor conference room at 200 College Street in downtown Asheville. Commission meetings can be seen on BCTV Charter Cable Channel 192, ATT Uverse Channel 99, live on BCTV Channel 192 and on buncombecounty.org during the meetings, or online anytime at buncombecounty.org. I think we have discussed a closed session for economic development discussion. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second, motion by Vice Chair Frost, second by Commissioner Belcher, to go into closed session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We're in closed session.
This music.
First part of it.
Andy Deise now has a nice little